Every single time you say yes when you mean no, a small part of you dies. Not dramatically, not loudly. It is a quiet death, the kind no one notices, not even you. Until one day you wake up and realize you have been living someone else's life. You have been breathing, working, smiling, showing up, but none of it was for you. And the strangest part? You did it all voluntarily. No one held a gun to your head. No one forced you. You just kept saying yes. Yes to the extra shift. Yes to the friend who only calls when they need something. Yes to the relationship that drains you. Yes to the version of yourself that everyone else designed for you. And now, you are here, exhausted. Not physically, something deeper. You are tired of carrying weight that was never yours. Tired of being the reliable one, the available one, the one who never disappoints. You smile at people who do not deserve your kindness. You stay in rooms where your presence is taken for granted. You answer messages at midnight from people who would not check on you if you disappeared for a week. And somewhere inside there is a voice, faint, almost buried, that keeps whispering the same thing. This is not who I am supposed to be. That voice is right. And today, we are going to listen to it. Because learning to say no is not about becoming cold. It is not about building walls or pushing people away. It is about something far more radical. It is about choosing yourself, perhaps for the first time in your life. And that single choice will change everything. Your relationships, your energy, your self-respect. Even the way people look at you. But here is the part no one tells you. Saying no is terrifying, not because of what you might lose, but because of what it reveals. It reveals who was only there for what you gave them. It reveals which relationships were built on your compliance. It reveals that the love you thought was unconditional had terms and conditions all along. And that truth, that is what keeps most people trapped in a lifetime of yes. Let us begin with something uncomfortable. The real reason you cannot say no has nothing to do with kindness. You have been telling yourself a story, a beautiful, noble story. You say yes because you care, because you are generous, because that is just who you are. But let me ask you something, and I need you to be honest. When you say yes to something you do not want to do, what are you actually feeling? Relief that the other person is happy? Or relief that they will not be angry with you? There is a massive difference. One is love, the other is fear. What Harriet Bryker at Yale called the disease to please is not rooted in generosity. It is rooted in a deep, often unconscious belief that your worth depends on how useful you are to others. Somewhere along the way, maybe in childhood, maybe through a relationship, you learned that love is conditional, that it has to be earned through sacrifice, through availability, through the erasure of your own needs. And once that belief takes root, saying no feels like an act of betrayal. Not against the other person, against yourself, against the version of you that learned to survive by being agreeable. Picture this. A friend calls on a Friday night. You have had the longest week of your life. Your body is begging for rest, but they need you. They always need you. And before the words even form in your mind, your mouth has already said, "Sure, I will be there." You hang up, and for a moment, you feel a strange mix of resentment and guilt. Resentment because you did not want to go. Guilt because you feel selfish for even thinking that. This is not kindness. This is self-abandonment. Or picture this. Your boss asks you to take on another project. You are already stretched beyond your limit. You know that saying yes means sleepless nights, missed meals, more stress. But you also know that saying no might make you look uncommitted. So you say yes. And you tell yourself it is temporary. It is always temporary, except it never ends. Carl Jung put it simply. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And the reason saying no terrifies you is because it forces you to accept a version of yourself that does not perform for love. A version that says, "I am enough," without the sacrifice. That is a confrontation most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Now here is where it gets interesting. There is a biological reason why saying no feels like danger. When you consider refusing someone's request, your amygdala, the part of the brain that processes threat, fires up. It does not distinguish between a lion chasing you and a friend being disappointed in you. To your nervous system, both feel like survival threats. What Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA discovered is that social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. Literally, the same neural pathways. So when you feel that sting in your chest after saying no, that tightness, that dread, your brain is processing it as if you have been physically hurt. This is why willpower alone does not work. You are not fighting a bad habit. You are fighting millions of years of evolution that programmed you to prioritize social belonging above everything else. Your ancestors who got rejected from the tribe did not survive, and your brain remembers that. Every single time you try to say no, it floods you with the same ancient warning: do not risk being cast out. But here is the reframe that changes everything. You were taught that saying no pushes people away. But what if the opposite is true? What if every time you say yes against your will, you are the one leaving? Not physically, energetically. Every forced yes is a step further from your authentic self. Every time you override your own needs, you are abandoning the only person who will be with you from birth to death: yourself. Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you, and the wound of the people pleaser is this: you were taught that your light only matters when it is used to illuminate others. But what if your light is meant for you first? Not in selfishness, in survival, in wholeness. In what Carl Jung called individuation, the process of becoming who you were always meant to be." Think about the people in your life who you respect most. Not the ones who say yes to everything, those people you take for granted. Be honest. The ones you respect are the ones who have boundaries. The ones who can look you in the eye and say, "I cannot do that," without flinching, without apologizing 5 times, without shrinking. You do not respect them despite their boundaries. You respect them because of their boundaries. Their no gives weight to their yes. When they show up, you know it is real because they could have chosen not to. Now, imagine you were that person. Imagine you only said yes when you truly meant it. Imagine every commitment you made carried the full force of your intention behind it. How differently would people treat you? How differently would you feel about yourself? This is not a fantasy. This is what happens when you learn the art of the conscious no. But before we get to the how, I want you to understand something that took me a long time to see. The cost of yes is invisible. It does not show up on a bill. It does not leave a bruise. It accumulates in places no one can see: in the tension in your jaw, in the tightness of your shoulders, in the hollow feeling you get on a Sunday night when you realize that not a single hour of your weekend belonged to you. Every yes you did not mean cost you something. Maybe it was an hour. Maybe it was your mood for the rest of the day. Maybe it was a piece of your self-respect so small you did not even notice it was gone. But those pieces add up, and one day you look in the mirror and you do not recognize the person staring back, not because you have changed, but because you have been erased, one yes at a time. What Gabor Mate at the University of British Columbia calls the biology of loss is this: when you consistently suppress your own needs to meet the needs of others, your body keeps the score. The stress does not disappear because you smiled through it. It lodges itself in your nervous system, in your immune function, in the fog that hangs over your mind. Your body knows every lie your mouth has told. And here is the cruelest part. The people you sacrifice for, most of them do not even notice. They are not evil. They are not ungrateful. They simply cannot see what it costs you because you have become so good at hiding it. You have perfected the performance of being fine. And now everyone believes the performance. Everyone except you. Let me show you something practical. There is a difference between a reactive no and a conscious no. A reactive no comes from anger, from resentment, from being fed up. It sounds like, "I am done doing things for you." It burns bridges. It creates guilt. A conscious no comes from clarity. It sounds like, "I value this relationship, but I cannot give you what you need right now without losing something important to myself." One is an explosion. The other is a boundary. And the difference between them is self-awareness. Here is a scenario. Someone asks you for a favor that you do not have the energy for. The old you would say yes and feel resentful. The reactive you would say no and feel guilty. But the conscious you pauses, takes a breath, and says, I hear you, and I want to help, but not today. I need to take care of myself first. No justification, no essay of excuses, no apology tour, just a clear, calm, honest response. And here is what will happen. Some people will respect it, and some people will lose their minds. And that reaction, that is the most valuable information you will ever receive, because the people who cannot handle your no were only ever in love with your yes. Let me say that again, because this is important. The people who cannot handle your no were only ever in love with your yes. They did not love you. They loved what you provided, the comfort, the validation, the feeling of having someone who would always show up regardless of how they treated you. And the moment you stop providing that, they have no reason to stay. Let them leave. What they take with them was never real. And the ones who stay, pay attention to them. Those are your people. Those are the ones who see you, not the performance, not the mask, not the version of you that says yes to everything. They see the real you, and they chose to stay anyway. That is love. Not the love you have to earn through exhaustion. The love that exists because you are finally being honest. In 1959, a young man in Seattle was teaching martial arts in a way that broke every rule. He was mixing Wing Chun with boxing, with fencing, with philosophy, everything the traditional martial arts world considered unacceptable. The community was outraged. They challenged him. They told him to stop. Some even challenged him to a fight, saying if he lost, he must close his school and stop teaching. His name was Bruce Lee, and he did not stop. He said no, not with words, but with his entire life. He said no to the rigid traditions that demanded he teach only one style. No to Hollywood, which wanted him to play stereotypical roles. No to the idea that he had to fit into a box someone else had built. When Warner Brothers offered him a leading role but then gave it to a white actor, he did not beg for another chance. He went to Hong Kong and became the biggest movie star in Asia, on his own terms. Bruce Lee once said, "It is not the daily increase, but the daily decrease." Hack away at the unessential. That is what saying no is. It is hacking away at everything that is not authentically you. Every obligation that does not serve your growth. Every relationship built on your compliance. Every role you play because someone else wrote the script. And the result? Bruce Lee did not just become a martial artist. He became a philosophy. He became a symbol of what happens when a man refuses to be anything other than himself. Not through aggression, not through arrogance. Through the quiet, relentless commitment to his own truth. He died at 32, and the world is still learning from him because he did not waste a single day being someone he was not. What made Bruce Lee extraordinary was not his speed or his strength. It was his willingness to be misunderstood. For years, traditional martial artists called him a traitor. Hollywood dismissed him. People he respected turned their backs on him. And he kept going, not out of spite, but out of alignment. He knew who he was. And once you know who you are, the opinions of others become background noise. That is the power of no. It does not subtract from your life. It clears the space for everything that was always meant to be yours. So, here is where we bring this home to you, right now, today. You do not need to overhaul your life overnight. You do not need to cut everyone off or become someone you are not. But you do need to start small. The next time someone asks you for something, pause. Do not answer immediately. Give yourself 3 seconds, that is all. And in those 3 seconds, ask yourself one question. Am I saying yes because I want to, or because I am afraid of what happens if I do not? If the answer is fear, that is your signal. That is your invitation to practice the most loving word in any language. No, not no with anger, not no with guilt, no with peace. No, with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that protecting their energy is not selfish. It is necessary. And yes, it will feel wrong at first. Your chest will tighten. Your mind will race with worst-case scenarios. You will replay the moment and wonder if you made a mistake. That is normal. That is your old programming fighting to survive. Let it fight, let it scream, and keep choosing yourself anyway. Because here is what is on the other side of that discomfort. Freedom, not the freedom of isolation, the freedom of authenticity. The freedom of walking into a room and knowing that every person who is there with you is there because you chose them, not because you could not say no. The freedom of waking up and knowing that today belongs to you, that your energy is yours, that your time is sacred, that your life is not a series of obligations you never agreed to. You stop resenting people because you stop giving what you cannot afford. You stop feeling invisible because you stop erasing yourself. You stop attracting people who take and take because you are no longer broadcasting the signal that says, I will give everything if you just stay. And slowly, something miraculous happens. The emptiness that you used to fill with other people's approval, it starts to fill with something else, with your own voice, your own choices, your own rhythm. You start to discover what you actually like, not what you were trained to tolerate. You start to notice what excites you, not what is expected of you. You start to build a life that, when you step back and look at it, actually looks like yours. This is what self-love looks like in practice. Not affirmations in the mirror, not spa days and treat yourself. It is the daily, unglamorous act of honoring your own limits, of telling the truth about what you can and cannot give, of letting people be disappointed so that you can be whole. You become, perhaps for the first time, someone you actually like, someone you respect, someone whose yes means something because it comes from choice, not from fear. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastery starts with the smallest, bravest act available to you, looking at someone you love, someone you fear losing, someone who expects you to say yes, and saying no. Not this time. I choose me. You were not put on this earth to make everyone else comfortable. You were put here to become whole, and wholeness requires boundaries. It requires the courage to disappoint people who were never really there for you. It requires the wisdom to know that the love that leaves when you set a boundary was never love at all. You do not owe anyone your peace. You do not owe anyone your energy. You do not owe anyone a version of yourself that makes you smaller just so they can feel bigger. You stop performing. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for existing on your own terms. And the people who belong in your life, they stay. Not because you gave them everything, but because you finally gave them something real. The real you. If something in this video made you pause, if you felt that tightness in your chest that says, this was meant for me, then I want you to do one thing. Write in the comments, my yes means something now. Let that be your declaration. Not for me, for you. For the version of yourself that has been waiting for permission to exist. And if you are ready to go deeper, if you are ready for the next step on this journey, subscribe. Because this is only the beginning of a life where you are no longer available for everything, but fully present for what truly matters.